I am honored to have joining us now on the program the ranking member of the Oversight Committee in Washington, D.C., James Comer. Jamie Comer, he is from Kentucky, from the 1st Congressional District of Kentucky. He's been an incredible leader both on the state level and now in the federal level. He served in Kentucky as probably many of you know, that he served as the agricultural commissioner of Kentucky for several years, but also in the House of Representatives there on the state level, where he was actually recognized as the freshman legislator of the year in his very first term. And he now brings those same principles and work ethic to the federal level. And I'm extremely honored to have Congressman Jamie Comer with us. Thank you, sir, for being on the line with us today.
Well, Jody, thanks for having me.
Well, it's a great honor, and it's a great honor to serve with you on the Oversight Committee, and your leadership there is just fantastic. I want us to discuss, first of all, I've got a couple of topics that I want to throw by you and to talk about. But first of all, the 9/11 Commission. And to get us kind of kicked off on that, we've got an audio clip that Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker, shared at her weekly press conference the other day. Let's hit that clip real quickly.
There's really strong support in the country for us to seek the truth, find the truth, but also understand how we have to protect the American people from what might be out there in terms of domestic terrorism and the rest.
All right, domestic terrorism and the rest. I mean, what in the world is "and the rest" when she refers to that? So let's kind of get this kicked off. What are we talking about when we refer to the 9/11 Commission, and in particular that being utilized, or at least some concept of the 9/11 Commission being utilized to deal with the January 6th seize of the Capitol? What are we talking about?
Well, Pelosi is clearly trying to create the narrative that everyone that was at the Trump rally, everyone there was a white supremacist. Everyone there was there with the intentions of overthrowing our government, trying to prevent the transfer of power. And she is going to stick with that narrative. As you know, Jody, several of us have requested that Pelosi answer some questions that we had about security on January the 6th, since she is in charge of security for the House of Representatives. And she continues to dodge that question. If she wants transparency, and if she wants to hold everyone responsible accountable, then I think that's something that Republicans would certainly welcome as well. But Pelosi's clearly stalling because, you know, the September 11th Commission was, as I understand it, created pretty quickly after September the 11th to investigate the root cause and, you know, with the goal of trying to prevent another terrorist attack on the United States soil. She's clearly stalling, trying to create the narrative, and along with her friends in the media, that this was a terroristic attack and that every Trump voter is the type of person that we have to watch. And, oh, by the way, we need to put metal detectors on the floor of the House to keep the enemy from within, which would be, in her eyes, Republicans from entering the House chambers without carrying any weapons. So I think that this is a stunt by Nancy Pelosi. I don't think she's sincere, and I hope that the American people see through that.
So what do you think is the real purpose behind this so-called 9/11 Commission as it's directed to the events of January 6th? What is Nancy Pelosi and company's ultimate goal in this?
I think everyone would probably have a different opinion, Jody, but my opinion is she's trying to label those of us who supported Trump as being white supremacists and domestic terrorists, and that anyone that would support Trump should be ashamed. And you know, she's trying to rewrite history. She neglects to include in her negative comments about Trump supporters that half of America supported Trump. Half of America is still very supportive of Trump post-presidency, and that, at the end of the day, I'm pretty confident that Donald Trump's approval rating is higher than Nancy Pelosi's. I know it's higher than most of Congress. So I just think this is another political stunt by Nancy Pelosi when, in fact, she was in charge of security, and we have heard from her her Sergeant-at-Arms, Mr. Irving, and the former chief of the Capitol Police, Mr. Sund, that they had picked up intelligence that there might be, some bad actors coming on January the 6th. So they requested the National Guard on January the 4th, and she, in fact, blocked the National Guard, which was never brought up. Yeah, which was never brought up in the trial, in the Senate trial for Donald Trump. So I think that she's just trying to create a narrative here and blocking from the fact that she bears as much responsibility as anyone for January the 6th getting as out of control as it did.
Excellent point. Jody Hice filling in for Tony Perkins, and joining me right now is a great representative from Kentucky, Jamie Comer, who serves as the ranking member of the Oversight Committee. And as it relates to this 9/11 Commission, and Jamie, I would like for you, if you will, to hold over in the break. I'd like to discuss some of the things happening on our southern border right now. But it sounds like you have no confidence whatsoever of this being a bipartisan, or better yet, a nonpartisan commission. This is just going to be yet another attack. Is that the way you see it?
That's the way it starts out. It's kind of like Joe Biden talked about unity at his inauguration, and when those senators walked over there to talk about a bipartisan change to the COVID bill, he slammed the door on them. So that's kind of the way I feel about this 9/11 Commission with Pelosi.
You recently wrote a letter to the Department of Homeland Security out of concern, or you're part of this letter, over concern as to what's happening on our southern border. And, of course, I think people all across America are becoming more and more aware as to the volatility of what's happening and the dangers represented on our southern border. Can you, first of all, just kind of brief us on what prompted you to write the letter, and basically what is the intent of the letter?
Well, it's just very troubling to see what's happening at the southern border. I think one of the greatest accomplishments of the Trump administration was border security. And one of the biggest failures of the Obama-Biden administration was a lack of border security. So now Biden has automatically reverted back to the old ways of the Obama-Biden administration. He immediately halted construction of the southern border wall. And worse than anything, it appears to me, Jody, he's sending a message to the world that it's okay to try to cross the border. If you get in, you'll be all right. We'll provide you with a lawyer and a place to stay and meals and Medicaid, and if you have kids, we'll educate them. And it's just not what I think the people in America want. I know the people in my district don't want it. And with the Biden policy of continuing to have our public schools shut down because of COVID, but then allowing open borders where people are coming across here and they could be spreading COVID, the hypocrisy is just staggering. So I was part of a letter that expressed our concern about the lack of border security, the lack of messaging to the people that are trying to enter this country illegally about the repercussions of their actions, and also just a complete concern about the gangs, the human trafficking, and all the bad things that could happen on that southern border, and just the sheer fact that the Biden administration turned a blind eye.
Yeah, and it's stunning to me almost immediately when the outcome of the election was evident that Joe Biden was going to win. Here comes a caravan. I mean, immediately what had been under the Trump administration a secure border, I mean, overnight it changed, and immediately we're watching this, and there's so many issues, as you brought up, from the human trafficking, the drug trafficking, the health care concerns with COVID coming across the borders, the job issues, the economic impact. All these things are coming across. And while President Trump was there, these same individuals said that a wall is meaningless. It doesn't help. And yet, for those of you that go to Washington right now, I might add, the whole place is walled up. And if walls and fences and razor wire doesn't help, then why in the world do we have it all over Washington? But what is it that President Biden, the Democrats, love, if you will, about open borders? There is nothing seemingly good that comes from open borders. What is their goal in this, and why are they so embracing this concept of open borders?
Well, I hate to say this, Jody, but I really believe it's a fact. It's all political. I think they see a lot of new Democrat voters coming across, and they're going to do everything to welcome them and make sure that that's a new layer of support for the new Democrat Party, the party that has kind of abandoned the working class and catered to the university elite, the welfare, full-time welfare recipients, and now you've got illegal immigrants, and it's a big voting bloc in a lot of states, especially states like Texas, where they're making a big move, and there's nothing racist by that. I think that's just a fact that the Democrats are playing on, and they played on that message in the presidential election, and I believe they're going to continue that strategy moving forward.
How does that play out, though, in the long run? What do you think? I mean, most people, at least in my district, I would assume yours is the same, but I am totally convinced this is the feeling of people listening to us right now all across the country, and generally speaking, in every state and in virtually every district. People understand there's value in being a citizen of the United States of America. Why is there such a fear, if you will, and that may not be the right word, but a seeming fear on the Democratic side to protect the interest of our citizens first? Is it all just political?
I have no idea. It's just like the demographics of the Democrat Party has changed so much over the last 5 years. It's just not the Democrat Party that I grew up watching in conservative rural Kentucky, and it's sad to see, and I think that we've got to hold our line and protect that border, and that's got to be a major issue for Republicans and conservatives.
Well, Congressman Jamie Comer, thank you for your incredible leadership. Thank you for joining us today on Washington Watch, and we appreciate your tremendous leadership that you bring to the Oversight Committee, fighting against waste, fraud, and abuse all across our government. You're a champion, and we appreciate it. Folks, thank you for joining us today on Washington Watch. Coming up next, Dr. Andy Harris will be joining us to discuss the Equality Act. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Commission with Pelosi.